Okay, so the second major category of somatosensory stimuli are, of course, those emotionally salient inputs. And they're also dependent on a specific set of specialized sensory afferent cells, including, as I know we mentioned from the beginning of this course, right, the nociceptors, which are responsive to damaged tissue. If you cut yourself, if you crush something, you break open those phospholipid bilayer membranes and you spill the contents of cells into the environment of your body. And some of those proteins are going to be detected by specialized, again, pseudounipolar neurons with their cell bodies in the dorsal root ganglia, right? But they're going to be responsive to the proteins that are released from damaged cells. We, talked about gustation, right? There's also, for example, nociceptors in the tongue that can, tell you if you bit in your mouth. But there's also chemicals in food, like in cayenne pepper, like capsaicin, a chemical that'll bind to these same cells and initiate, a current and give you, that actually sort of a nociceptive quality, an arousing quality, an orienting quality to the foods that you are consuming. And people can start to really crave, spice, in their food. But anyway, the anterolateral system is going to be carrying information about nociception, injury, about thermoreception, about temperature of the body, itch detection, afferents that are, around the hairs, basically, on your body, that when they're moved, they can signal. And then also sort of sensual aspects of touch. And this information is going to go more places before it reaches, cortex, actually, than the mechanoreceptive, proprioceptive kind of information. These are going to be sort of shorter cells. They're going to actually synapse, it turns out, in the dorsal horn, the gray matter in the cord. This is, let's say, this is going to be the dorsal root ganglion, which is where the cell body is located. This is going to work its way right into the gray matter of the cord, and then it's going to make a synapse there, because in that dorsal horn, that's where the gray matter of all the neurons that are going to be processing aspects of somatosensation are located there. And from there, you can have an interneuron, right, that goes from the dorsal horn down to the ventral horn, which could signal a motor neuron back out to contract, and pull muscles, and so you could have a reflexive withdrawal response, say, to, for example, injury. So the dorsal horn of the spinal cord is where this kind of anterolateral, emotionally salient information is coming through. And the reason I refer to it as anterolateral is, remember, the mechanoreceptive inputs, when they rise up the spinal cord, they're rising up the back in these great big dorsal columns, right, all the way to the brainstem. And then to review, right, from the brainstem, synapse, those next neurons will decussate, and cross over and rise up to the thalamus for another synaptic connection before going on to the parietal lobe. Well, this emotionally salient information about injury and temperature and itch and sensual touch is going to arrive in the cord, synapse, maybe have some circuitry for reflexive withdrawal at the level of the cord, but then it's going to continue ascending. And the way it does it is it actually decussates, it crosses at the level of the cord, and then rises, and it rises anteriorly, so antero, so towards the front of the cord, and laterally towards the side of the cord. So the dorsal columns are dorsal, they're towards the back, and they rise up these great big columns carrying mechanoreceptive, proprioceptive information to the brainstem, and then decussate and go to the thalamus. Here you've got, the emotionally salient stuff coming in, synapsing in the gray matter of the cord, and the dorsal horn gray matter, and from there, the next neurons cross over, decussate, and then rise up anterior and lateral. And we're going to see a number of discrete cables within that anterolateral system of cables, because they're going to be going different places. So we'll learn more